All right, so I actually got a little bit of positive news here for you guys on the union front as we were sort of tracking that potential strike for the UPS workers as the deal that they had on the table with corporate fell through, and it looked like we were sort of heading for the largest strike in American history, which you absolutely love to see. And a lot of these workers were basically just demanding the bare minimum of what they deserve. I mean, we're talking about a company that is raking in billions and billions of dollars on an annual basis off the backs of these workers who are being heavily exploited in every way, shape, and form. And so we do have a resolution to that, at least a tentative resolution that I'm going to tell you about here in a second, because it looks like these UPS workers kind of sort of like dominated in this union strike threat and managed to get some pretty serious concessions. And so before we get to the actual details of the agreement that is put on the table right now, let's just go ahead and check in with one of the worst corporate ghouls on TV right now, this guy Jim Cramer over on CNBC, who is giving a reaction to the deal and is basically extremely upset that UPS gave too much to their workers. So let's just go ahead and hear what he's got to say here.
Speaking of exaggeration, how about the way that UPS stock initially went up on that deal?
Yes.
And then people see that maybe the Teamsters got the best of it.
Although it's a good thing for the U.S. economy that there is not going to be a UPS strike.
You know, I'm so glad you mentioned that because that was very important for the U.S. I do want to know whether Ford is going to talk about whether there's more of an issue with the UAW than Carol Tomei talked about being an issue with Teamsters. Very important to watch that because when you look at the way GM traded, it started going down when Mary Barra, the CEO, glossed over a union issue. That's a big mistake. Sean Fain reminds me of the 1930s UAW, which we don't want.
Do we not want that? I kind of want that, right? Referencing the 1930s sort of much more militant union activity that was going on at the time. I am 100% in favor of bringing that sort of militancy back. But I mean, just look at how he talks about this just generally. I mean, first of all, it's pretty funny. They're just talking. I mean, obviously, this is what this channel is, this network is sort of for. You know, it's for like financial, interest to go and watch this and see what the latest things are that are happening. But I mean, just talking next to like these stock charts as if like that is how we should analyze the U.S. economy, whether or not this line on a graph goes up, instead of like, are these workers being taken care of? Are they facing, unreasonable safety hazards as a part of their jobs? Are they able to live sustainable and healthy lives and provide for themselves and their family members, right? I would look to those sort of metrics. Can you afford education? Can you afford healthcare? Can you afford housing and all of that stuff? I would look at that stuff much more in terms of like, is our economy actually functioning? Is it a healthy economy? But they sort of just always give these, this analysis where it's just like, does the line go up? If yes, then everything is great. And if the line goes down, then everything is absolutely abysmal. And so, of course, he's scared that, the Teamsters managed to get some pretty significant concessions there. And, calling out to these other unions as well, like the UAW, which, as he pointed out there, covers Ford. It seems like with this sort of resurgence of the American labor movement that we have seen over the last couple of years with, Starbucks and a whole bunch of other ones that we've been tracking as well, Amazon getting their first union, it seems like a lot of these wealthy ghouls are sort of like shaking in their boots. And again, you absolutely love to see it. So now I want to move on to the actual concessions that were given to the Teamsters as a part of this negotiation. So they say here, we've changed the game. Teamsters win historic UPS contract. Okay, so they say, today the Teamsters reached the most historic tentative agreement for workers in the history of UPS, protecting and rewarding more than 340,000 UPS Teamsters nationwide. The overwhelmingly lucrative contract raises wages for all workers, creates more full-time jobs, and includes dozens of workplace protections and improvements. The UPS Teamsters National Negotiating Committee unanimously endorsed the 5-year tentative agreement. They say rank-and-file UPS Teamsters sacrificed everything to get this country through a pandemic and enabled UPS to reap record-setting profits. Teamsters Labor moves America. The union went into this fight committed to winning for our members. We demanded the best contract in the history of the UPS, and we got it. And here's where it gets even crazier, right? So they said, this is a statement obviously from the Teamsters president, Sean O'Brien, and he says, UPS has put $30 billion in new money on the table as a direct result of these negotiations. concessions, $30 billion in new money as a result of the power of this union here. We've changed the game, battling it out day and night to make sure our members won an agreement that pays strong wages, rewards their labor, and doesn't require a single concession. This contract sets a new standard in the labor movement and raises the bar for all workers. And I'm glad that he added that in there at the end, because obviously, some people may look at this and they'll be like, well, what do I have to do with UPS workers, right? I don't work for UPS. I don't know anybody who works for UPS. How does this actually benefit me? Well, it actually does, because again, as he points out there, when wages at a place like UPS are lifted up to this significant degree, when they have better working conditions, better benefits, better wages, etc., that lifts the bar for the rest of the economy. Other, corporations that are hiring people, they are going to have to meet new standards, because this is much more of a lucrative kind of place to work because of what this union was able to achieve. So it does, benefit the economy. It benefits everybody across the board. And that's why I think that it's important to always show solidarity in these kinds of moments. So a little bit more specifics in terms of what they actually got here, because I personally think that this is really interesting in terms of how much they were able to actually get from UPS. And I mean, keep in mind, as he pointed out there in that clip of those two CNBC ghouls, it would obviously have had a dramatic impact on the US economy if they went on strike. That's the whole point of the strike, right? I mean, that's where the leverage comes from, and you see that leverage actually playing out with concessions like this. So they say they got historic wage increases. Existing full and part-time UPS Teamsters will get $2.75 more per hour in 2023. Over the length of the contract, wage increases will total $7.50 per hour in increases. They say existing part-timers will be raised up to no less than $21 per hour immediately, and part-time seniority workers earning more under a market rate adjustment would still receive all new general wage increases. General wage increases for part-time workers will be double the amount obtained in the previous Teamsters contract, and existing part-time workers will receive a 48% average total wage increase over the next 5 years. Wage increases for full-timers will be kept or will keep UPS Teamsters the highest paid delivery drivers in the nation, improving their average top rate to $49 an hour, which isn't that bad, right? I mean, obviously these guys are doing grueling work and all of that, but they absolutely deserve it. They say safety and health protections, including, and this was a key sticking point here, which is absolutely insane, especially as we're going through a historic heat wave right now. A lot of these workers didn't even have fucking AC in their trucks. They say that this deal includes vehicle air conditioning and cargo ventilation. UPS will equip in-cab AC in all larger delivery vehicles, Sprinter vans, and package cars purchased after January 1st, 2021. All cars get 2 fans and air induction vents in the cargo departments. They say all UPS Teamsters would receive MLK Day as a full-time holiday. You love to see it. They say the creation of 7,500 new full-time Teamsters jobs at UPS and the fulfillment of 22,500 open positions. So we're talking about like potentially tens of thousands of new positions that could come as a result of this deal. I mean, talk about expanding the economy, right? We're talking about thousands of jobs that are being created. Thank you to the union, right? Not thank you to the corporation, right? They always love to praise themselves as these, magnanimous, job creators and all of that. Oh, we're so benevolent and we're the ones who are creating the jobs. No, the union are the people who actually created the jobs, because maybe you need more people to actually fill these positions so that they aren't stretched as thin, right? 7,500 new full-time Teamsters jobs at UPS. And they finish off here. They say more than 60 total changes and improvements to the National Master Agreement, more than any other time in Teamsters history, and 0 concessions from the rank and file. So basically where we stand right now, it's going to take a couple of weeks. The rank and file members of the unions are actually going to have to vote on this tentative agreement that has been put in place. I don't know whether or not they're going to actually accept this. It seems like, based on what they're saying in these statements, that this is as favorable of a deal as you could probably ask for in this kind of a situation. If they end up rejecting it and they go on strike because they don't think that it's enough, fully support and endorse that as well. Because again, I mean, as he pointed out there, these people got us through the pandemic, right? Risking their lives, traveling around, delivering people all of their packages, right? These people work grueling hours. They're having to go on all of these routes, similar to Amazon drivers as well. How many Amazon delivery driver stories did we see of people having to literally like piss in bottles and shit in bags on the job just to meet their quotas and things like that? So it's a grueling job, and they deserve every single penny of this. I mean, they deserve the entirety of that $30 billion of new money over the period of this contract that they ended up getting, and even more. And so, again, solidarity with all of these workers. You love to see it. You love to see wealthy ghouls over on financial networks pissing and shitting and crying, as they are trying to come to grips with the fact that the union actually got a UAW in this situation, but if there is any other sort of like shakeups and if these workers end up rejecting this deal, I'll certainly keep you guys updated. But for now, it looks like the UPS union won them a deal. And again, just a perfect reminder in terms of where the power of a union comes from, right? If you wanted to go to your boss and you didn't have a union or anybody to actually guard and represent you in that kind of a process, you have no chance of actually getting, better benefits, better wages, better working conditions, or anything like that. Your boss can just ignore you. But if you have a union, you have legal protections, you have the protection of the solidarity from all of your other fellow workers, and you can actually go and threaten these companies' bottom lines, threaten their profit margins, threaten to go out on strike, and you can force them to meet your demands.
Everyone is saying good Politic guy has the best Politic. Believe me, no one does it like him. Believe me, everyone is saying